grateful for, both of my parents. Firmly feel that I was put here to do. This is what I feel called to do. Believe this is what God made me for.
Is your relationship with your father the place you want it to be right now?
Professional name is Gladius. You can find me on gladiusofficial.com. That's my music site. That's what I do. And otherwise known simply as Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Is this not why you're here? And this is my officially second time here on the show. So I guess, thanks for having me back. And I guess I didn't do too badly the first time around, or maybe I did so badly that it was... so bad it was good, huh?
No, absolutely. Thanks for coming back. Your first appearance was awesome. You gave us a live performance that blew us away. At the end of this episode, we'll have another performance by Gladius. So definitely stick around for that. We have a very exciting show scheduled today for you. We have a few surprises.
Oh.
Yeah, that I think you'll enjoy. But any last thoughts before we get started?
Oh, and any final words? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, any final words? Here, look in the camera.
We have this on camera, right?
Let's state your last will and testament.
This incriminating evidence will go down in history.
Uh-huh.
So,
all your fans out there,
clever.
Let's get some final words.
I got nothing.
This is the last time you're seeing the Gladius.
Blaze of glory. Yep. So, no guts, no glory, as they say, right? So never fade away. Don't fade away. Yeah.
Well said. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we got done with more like 25 minutes of hard grappling rounds. Really impressive how much cardio you had and how much you pushed yourself. That was really, I think that surprised all of us. How do you feel?
I think I said it last time. I'm glad I didn't go for my bike ride today, but I went yesterday. So I saved a little bit of cardio in the tank.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't think I even got this drenched out there, even in the Georgia summer heat when on the bike. So, yeah.
While we're doing all that, I know the monster was in your ear, talking about, giving up being a musician, talking as if like he's your dad, and basically saying all these like negative things. Like how did you take all that?
The way I usually do, in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's something that you've heard for a long time, and it's gotten to a point where you're almost immune to it.
I mean, you kind of have to be at this point. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you'd either have quit long ago or gone insane.
Yeah.
There's really no other alternative. So.
No, that's a lot of especially like creative people's experience, is that you're choosing a field that is really uncertain. And I'm sure that most creatives, most musicians, most artists go through a period in their life where they're not sure if this is the right path or this is what I'm going to do. And I'm sure that they hear from their loved ones about, doubt about what they're doing. How do you deal with that in your personal life? And what kind of advice would you give to other artists out there?
Yeah, I mean, and the doubts don't just always come from the outside. The strongest, most serious ones are on the inside. And that's the voice. I'll quote, one of my favorite motivational speakers, Les Brown. And he said, he was getting up to speak in front of a bunch of people, and it might have been like, his one of the first times he did that, and these doubts, all these negative thoughts self-defeating thoughts start going through his head, and he goes, and it's like Yeah, don't you remember? What are you doing here? You're not qualified to be here. Like, who do you think you are? This you're so special that people should pay attention to what you have to say. And like, don't you remember that time where you stood up and your mind sat down? Don't you remember? And he's like, yes, I do. Shut up. And it's like you acknowledge the voice is there, and then you just gotta shut it up because there's I mean, another point I think he made it also is that like 85% of that stuff in there can just be toxic, negative crap, and a lot of it is just baseless.
Yeah, so like let's go into detail, especially for younger people, because like you talk to someone that is younger, maybe in high school, and the advice is like, hey, shut up, be positive, right? And then it's literally like, well, that's not helpful because I don't know like how to do that.
Yeah, right.
Like what would you tell maybe younger people in our audience?
There's a couple. I'm not going to claim the words of all the wisdom, but I'll quote sources where I can remember, and where I can't, you can look them up. But I mean, a lot of it is like motivation is important up to a point. Like motivation gets you started, but like habits are what keep you going. So it's very important to have habits in place so that like even when you don't feel motivated to do something, like it's literally becomes so ingrained in your daily routine that it's easier, more obvious, less friction to just continue with the habits. Another big thing to the point of the the positivity and like positive thinking, optimism. I mean, yeah, of course that's invaluable to stay optimistic, but it's like it's not always realistic. Like you have to be downright delusional sometimes to stay optimistic all the time, or to not have any kind of negative thought. But there was an interesting study. It was a sports team, might have been, I forget. They were a losing team, and they had heard some data that like there was a direct correlation between just like lots of like negativity, even just like on the practice field amongst like team members, like verbally spoken negativity and doubtful stuff. A direct correlation between that and actually poor performance and losing. And it's like they knew that they couldn't just like think positive all the time and only say positive stuff. It's like, what if you don't have anything good to say? Well, maybe just don't say anything at all. And what they found was, even if you have some of those negative thoughts, don't say them to everybody around you and reinforce all that negativity in the whole community, and then it just kind of feeds on itself. And like, I heard that in 1986, the Boston Red Sox went to the World Series and were very close to winning for the first time in like decades, since I think the time of Babe Ruth probably, and then they lost like in the bottom of the ninth of Game 6, I think it was, on like an error that rolled right between the legs of like an MVP inner fielder. What was his name? Buckner, yes, Bill Buckner. And like, if you look at this guy's history, like he was a great ball player up until that point, but like all he's gonna be remembered for after that is like that infamous error in his, like that one moment. But the craziest thing, I'd heard that story plenty of times, but what I just recently found out was just a couple weeks before the World Series, he had given an interview during the postseason, and he said, the dream would be winning it all, the Red Sox win the World Series, world champs, everything. And the worst nightmare would be to blow it in the bottom of the ninth at Game 6 on an error. That's literally exactly what happened.
I wanted to change gears a little bit and kind of get back to the main antagonist of today's story, which sounds like your relationship with you and your music and the people who doubt it. And a central figure that kept coming up today was the conflicts that you're having with your family, namely your dad. And you mentioned that this is a conflict that you've been having for a long time. And at this point in your life, it just kind of bounces off of you because you've heard it so much. How do you have a relationship with that kind of mindset?
Yeah, it's not without its degrees of awkwardness, for sure. Unfortunately, that's life, and to some degree, that's inevitable. There's always going to be some of that to go around. So you just have to do your best to, I don't know, handle it with love and respect and just kind of agree to disagree, whether they agree or not. You know, and I know that may be a bigger problem for some people than others, depending like a personality thing. I guess is like, you know, I think like Michael Jordan, like a big thing for him was like his dad's approval, and like when his dad passed away tragically, like he was, I mean, naturally anybody would be devastated, but like he was. Like, I think that's literally what drove him to quit basketball, like, the first time around. Then he was like,
When
well,
his dad died.
one of his dad's, you know, one of the last conversations they had was like, you know, I always wanted to play baseball. And his dad was like, well, why don't you do it? And I think that's kind of what pushed him to, you know. But, you know, I don't know. Just kind of, I guess I've always just had, like, the single-minded stubbornness of resolution that and tunnel vision that you know, this is the path. This is what I firmly feel that I was put here to do. This is what I feel called to do. Believe this is what God made me for, and I firmly believe, perhaps controversially, but I firmly believe that it would be, in fact, a waste and even a sin and even a form of blasphemy in my mind if I were to turn my back on that and neglect that calling and that what I believe is a responsibility to pursue that and develop that as fully as I can.
Is your relationship with your father the place you want it to be right now?
I mean, I'd rather. It's better than it has been at times. There's been some improvement, I would say. I think there's still some room left to go. I try to see the positive. You know, the half full rather than the half empty glass in these scenarios and see, okay, well, I can use that as fuel. Okay, you think I'm not gonna succeed? All right, well, let me show you and shut you up with my actions and results, you know. So I try to just use that as fuel in the tank, and like when I'm running on fumes, I pour that gas on the fire and go, okay, let's have a dosage of that. Let's use my haters, let's use my enemies, or let's use any naysayers or doubters, and however well-meaning or otherwise, that gonna prove them wrong.
When was your relationship with your father the strongest, and what was that like?
Gosh, I mean, that would have been a long time ago when I chose to go down this path. So I think I was, still a teenager. Grateful for, both my parents. Think, they aren't perfect. Obviously, no parents are perfect, and I'm sure we've had our, we can obviously, it's easy to focus on the negatives. But I would say overall, I think they did a, pretty good job overall. To their credit, they did, get us involved in sports, and, I had the opportunity to try out and stink at baseball, and then try out and be mediocre at hockey, and then swimming, and so on and so forth, and then, like guitar lessons and so on. And then so, like, definitely thankful that I was even afforded those opportunities. Not everybody is.
It sounds like your parents are great people, and you get perspective as you grow older, where you realize that your parents are just people. They're not perfect, and that I'm sure raising a family is not easy to do. So why don't you look into the camera and talk to your dad? Like make him understand. He's not going to talk back to you. Make him come around to how your way of thinking.
Dad. just to recognize and respect my path, my calling, my choices, in spite of whatever, ups and downs along the way, professionally or what have you. And there's no plan B. That's that's what it boils down to. Literally every single person I've ever known or even heard of that ever had a plan B that was remotely attractive always took it. And that's exactly why I don't have one. Because I know I would have given up a long time ago if I had.
Thank you. Your older brother hasn't been the most supportive. He could have done a bit more to show you love and
Who's
the
this
support
clown over here?
that you need. Quiet from the audience, please.
Comment from
So, look into the camera and tell your older brother what he could have done better.
Oh man. Yeah, all those comments from the peanut gallery building me up the whole time, all along the way, just clowning it up. Well, I mean, I don't know how many times after I tried to teach him to play a bass guitar or take up drums or something, we could start a band. You see how well that went, and you see how many members are in my band. So